Welcome to our new segment. This is going to be NFL Recap. My name's Eli Isom.
I'm Jimmy Bowen.
Here's your Week 1 NFL Recap. I'll start with the Packers and the Bears. It was a close game. It was 10-3. It was very, very defensive. Not a lot of stats on offense at all.
Yeah. And then we're just going to go to the next because not much there. We had Philadelphia versus Washington. We had a decent game there. Score 32-27.
It was a comeback.
Yeah,
Washington
big comeback.
was up. Philadelphia came back. For Washington, we had Case Keenum with 380 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, he was very efficient. He didn't throw away that many passes.
His receiver, Terry McLaurin, had 5 receptions for 125 yards. Pretty good yardage on that small amount of receptions.
The Eagles had Carson Wentz, who threw 28 for 39 with 313 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's a pretty good first game.
Still got it.
Yeah, and then Deshaun Jackson, he had 8 receptions on 154 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's a game right there.
I've seen a lot of people getting 2 touchdowns or more early in the season.
High scoring games.
Next game, we got another close game. It's the Bills and the Jets. The Bills had 17, the Jets had 16.
And then for the Bills, we had Josh Allen, who threw 254 yards with 1 touchdown, but he had 2 interceptions. Kind of a big drawback there, but what can you do?
Their defense came in clutch, and they still got the win.
Yeah.
His receiver, Devin Singletary, had running back, my bad, had 4 carries for 70 yards. He averaged 17.5 yards on each carry.
Man. For the Jets, Le'Veon Bell, he made his debut for the Jets. He had 17 carries on 60 yards. Not too impressive, but first game, molding with the team.
Next game, we're going to the Vikings and the Falcons. The score does not make it seem as much as a just murder as it was. The Vikings absolutely destroyed the Falcons 28-12. The Vikings defense is scary.
Yep.
It's the beginning of that game. There were so many defensive stops. It looked like the Vikings were going to win 80-something-0. It was insane.
Yeah, their offense was also deadly. They had multiple people with different touchdowns. Yeah, Devin Cook with 21 carries, 111 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Man's a beast.
That's pretty good. And then for the Falcons, we had Matt Ryan. I mean, he played a decent game. He had 304 yards and 2 touchdowns, but again, he had interceptions.
Those 2 interceptions, that Viking defense is just tearing people. They're going to tear people apart all year.
Indeed.
I like to see how they go in the playoffs. They're definitely a team to watch. Next game, we got the Ravens win 59-10 against the Dolphins. Lamar Jackson, my goodness, 17 for 20 on 324 yards and 5 touchdowns.
As he would say, not too bad for a running back.
Very much so. We had Marquise Brown, wide receiver have 4 catches on 147 yards and 2 touchdowns, making a lot of his catches and getting the yards. And then we had Mark Andrews have 8 catches on 108 yards and a touchdown.
Next, we have the Chiefs versus Jacksonville, and that was not much a close game. The Chiefs blew out the Jacksonville Jaguars 40-26. And then we had, Mahomes, he's another MVP contender again. He threw for 25 for 33 with 378 yards and 3 touchdowns. Whew.
Yeah, it is. Sammy Watkins had 9 catches on 198 yards and 3 touchdowns first game.
And for the Jacksonville Jaguars, we had, Minshew. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he had a good game, 22 for 25. That's very accurate. And he had 275 yards, so, it's respectable.
Nothing bad.
Yeah.
Not crazy yardage, but really good percentage on his throws.
Overall good game.
And then P.J. Chark had 4 catches on 146 yards and a touchdown. And the upset of the week.
Upset of the week. We had the Titans and the Browns. Well,
Titans had 43 and the Browns had 13. A team going into it that was expected a lot with Mayfield and OBJ and Nick Chubb, and it just did not go the way they wanted it to go.
Yeah.
Mariota had a decent game with 248 yards and 3 touchdowns. A.J. Brown had 3 catches on 100 yards, and Laney Walker had 5 catches on 55 yards and 2 touchdowns.
I mean, that's decent stats across the team. Nothing crazy. I mean, Mayfield, he had 285 yards, but 3 interceptions.
That is not the Baker Mayfield we've come to see in recent times.
And
was not a good start.
He had a safety early in the game. Ooh,
let's just hope that they're getting their jitters out of the way early in the year, and they can still make a comeback and show people what they are. He's like Baker Mayfield said, he likes being an underdog, so he's okay with this. So we'll see how they bounce back next week.
We have the Rams and the Panthers with a score of 30-27. Very close game. 1 field goal.
It's really good.
And for the Rams, we had Goff, who had 184 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. So not a bad day, you know.
Yeah, my man Gurley didn't go off as much as I wanted to. Had 14 carries for 97 yards, but he'll be there. Promise. He'll start going off.
Yeah. Newton, he threw for 239 yards with 1 interception. So not a bad day. He's just gotta step it up next week.
There was a thing about him on the news, and it was some newsman out of Carolina that it was his pregame outfit. He dressed up like the duck guy.
Oh.
And the reporter said, well, maybe if you weren't so worried about dress-up day, we'd actually get a win.
Oh, man.
I was like, dang.
That's rough.
But when you really think about it, it's not really Cam Newton's fault that his team sucks. Cam Newton's been carrying the Panthers for who knows how long.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a running back who runs 19 times and only has 128 yards, it's not saying much. I mean, he had 2 touchdowns, but...
I feel like he'll grow this year and they'll have a good running back, but his receiving core is just... I feel bad for him.
All right, next we have the Seahawks and the Bengals with a very close game, but I don't think it should have been. We had the Seahawks at 21. They defeated the Bengals 21-20.
It was a very high passing game, not a lot of running at all. Wilson had 196 yards and 2 touchdowns. Dalton had 418 yards and 2 touchdowns. I feel like he should have had more touchdowns with that much yardage, but that's not all his fault.
50 passes.
Yeah. John Ross had 7 catches on 158 yards and 2 touchdowns.
It's not bad. All right, next we have the Chargers against the Colts.
Lost in overtime, 30-24 on a touchdown.
Yeah. Well,
sad times.
We thought we could pull it out, you know. I think we played a lot better than what we were predicted.
Yeah, especially with the loss of Andrew Luck. I feel like they'll come together. They're already a close-knit team. I feel like they're going to grow throughout this year. And, I mean, look at how we started last year and how we ended up turning out. And we were just fine. So
Phillip Rivers, though, he kind of just played really well. 333 yards and 3 touchdowns, only 1 interception.
And that 1 interception was insane. Malik Hooker with a one-handed catch in their end zone to stop the touchdown.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And Keenan Allen for the Chargers, he had 8 catches on 123 yards and 1 touchdown. You know, solid game for him.
Brissett could have thrown some more yardage than he did. Only had about 100 yards, but he had the 2 touchdowns. Mack had a good game. He had 25 carries on 174 yards, 1 touchdown. He had some big plays.
Yeah, he set his career high.
Yeah.
A 63-yard run.
Ooh, it was a beautiful nice. He was running really good. Hilton had only 87 yards, but he had 2 touchdowns. And, of course, Hooker with that interception, one-handed interception, was beautiful highlight. We'll go to the next game. We got the 49ers and Tampa Bay. 49ers destroyed Tampa Bay 31-17. There's just good all-around team stats for the 49ers. Nobody really had anything crazy. They had 3 players with interceptions. Sherman, the Zeka guy, and Witherspoon.
Yeah, Jameis Winston for the Tampa Bay. He didn't have a great game. 3 interceptions, you know. That's kind of rough. And when you're not producing yardage, it's just not going to turn out well.
Yeah, the 49ers had a really good overall team game. It was impressive. There was nobody with insane stats. Everybody just played really good.
So then we'll flip it around this year. See, we had the Cowboys and New York Giants with a score of 35-17.
Prescott went off.
Yeah.
405 yards and 4 touchdowns. I hate to say it. Gosh, I do not like to see the Cowboys that good.
Yeah.
Ezekiel Elliott, he was okay. For Ezekiel Elliott, he only had 53 yards. He had a touchdown, but we've seen him do a lot better.
Michael Gallup, he had 158 yards, That's
backed up by Amari Cooper with 106. So
combined, that's a really good day.
And there was a bunch of other people up in the 80s. Their receiving core did well. Eli Manning, he didn't have a bad game for all the crap he's been getting. He had 306 yards and a touchdown. Saquon Barkley, 11 carries and 120 yards. He's just gonna keep going.
Yeah, he's a beast.
He's found himself. And then we got Evan Ingram with 11 catches on 116 yards and a touchdown. Ooh. Our first tie in the first week of the NFL. Cardinals 27, Lions 27.
Yeah. Stafford for the Lions, he had 385 yards to pair his 3 touchdowns. So that's a game right there. That's solid right there. He had also his big receiver TJ with 6 receptions, 131 yards, and 1 touchdown. That's a connection right there.
Had Amendola backing him up with 7 catches and 104 yards and another touchdown. And then the Cardinals, Kyler Murray.
Oof.
He threw 54
passes
times
as his rookie debut.
308 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had 1 interception.
It's not bad.
Gerald, of course, out in front on their receiving core with 113 yards and a touchdown. I hate to say it.
Patriots and the Steelers.
Tom Brady
still
has it, and I don't like saying that.
33-3. That's a rough game for the Steelers.
24-36 on 341 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Brady.
They're going to be dangerous. I hate to say it, but Tom Brady has grown his wide receiving core.
That's without Antonio Brown.
Yeah, his receiving core was nothing, and he made them something. He worked with them so much, and now he has someone like Antonio Brown that can create yardage off a short pass, and
oh boy,
it could be very dangerous.
And he had Philip Dorsett, who had 2 touchdowns for the Steelers or Patriots. My bad. And
Roethlisberger didn't have any touchdowns. 276 yards, but nothing to show for it, and an interception. And Juju only had 78 yards. It was a rough game for the Steelers.
Not much to work with. He's lost a lot of people. He's down. He's got to have to learn to work with his younger core.
Well, I'd give this our game of the week for sure. The Saints and the Texans, 30-28, insane game. Texans were down 6 with 2-ish minutes to go. Sean Watson brings them down, takes a big hit on a throw that would end up being a touchdown. They tie the game, go to take the extra point to go up by 1, and misses the field goal wide by a lot. But then they have a cheap call on roughing the kicker. They kick again and go up by 1 with 40 seconds left to go. Roethlisberger makes 2 big bombs down the field, and their kicker kicks a 56 or 58-yard field goal for the win. And the Saints get their first win at home in front of their home crowd. It was beautiful.
It's a good game. It was just Drew Brees, 32 for 43. You can't ask for much more out of a guy of his age. 370 yards and 2 touchdowns. Man still got it.
Kamara, he is doing everything for them. He had 97 rushing yards and 72 receiving yards. He's doing both.
All around player.
And then he had Michael Thomas with 123 yards receiving. And then Sean Watson had 268 yards and 3 touchdowns, but he got sacked a lot. And he does not get sacked that much. Especially last year. He was
he could move out of the pocket, but
his O-line just was not holding at all. And then he had Hopkins for 111 yards, 2 touchdowns. Hopkins is always going to be there for him.
Yeah. Our last game of the week, we had the Raiders versus the Broncos. Raiders ended up beating them 24-16. Derek Carr finished with 22 for 26 with 259 yards and 1 touchdown. That's a decent game,
Tyrell Williams had 105 yards and a touchdown.
And then we had Portland Sutton with 120 yards. I mean, it was a decent game. 120 yards. It's nothing to scoff at, but
The Raiders like getting that win, especially after all the drama AB showing that they can still win without him. So, they'll enjoy that win and try to push
I
it
think
into
they'll be a
next
solid
week.
squad still.
Yeah, thank you for watching our Week 1 NFL recap. We'll be doing a NFL Week 2